So a lot of people tell stories about their parents, where they bought maybe a house in the 1960s and they paid something like $50,000 for it, and they just sold it for 450 or 500,000 or something extraordinary. And everyone looks at that as their best argument for investing in real estate. When in reality, if you think about the numbers and you average out the gains year over year, it only ever really works out to about 3.5%, 4%. It really just tracks a little bit better than inflation maybe. And so I would argue that that's not the best reason to invest in real estate, but there are so many additional reasons to invest in real estate as well. And I want to talk about those extra reasons for investing in real estate today. Hi, my name is Adam, and this is where we discuss business and real estate and how to equip you with the tools to be successful in both. There are so many different strategies in real estate, and regardless of which asset class you find yourself in, whether that's residential or commercial, there are a number of different investment strategies that you can use to meet your goals. So today, we're just going to highlight a few of those different strategies that you might want to consider for your business. So for a second, we're going to put real estate away, and we're going to talk about the stock market. So, in the stock market, there are a number of different financial assets. There's stocks, there's bonds, there's mutual funds, and all of them have different benefits, different pros and different cons to meet your different goals. You might want something that gives you dividends, or you might want something that you don't care about dividends with, and you're just in it for long-term growth. You can think about real estate the same way. You might think about real estate as a quick win, maybe like a quick flip of a house, and you might get some really quick gains after a lot of effort in a short period of time. Or you might just want some buy and hold real estate, something where the gains aren't going to be so quick, but it's going to be a much steadier income over time. And really, one may or may not be better or worse than the other. Again, it always just depends on your goals. So depending on your goals, different strategies are going to work better for you. If you're looking for steady, long-term passive income, your investment opportunities are going to look different than if you want something where you've got a sudden infusion of cash because of a fix and flip. One of the strategies I want to talk about today is the Bur Strategy. And one of the reasons I really like it is because if you dig down deep into the Bur Strategy, you're going to find a lot of little tiny investment strategies within it. And so this is a really good introduction for somebody who's just starting out in real estate. And it's one simple acronym that you can memorize, and you can use that as a really good foundation to build off of. So what is Bur? Bur is an acronym, and it stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And with each one of these different categories, that highlights a different area of opportunity for money to be made in a deal. So let's unpack that acronym a little bit more and start with the letter B, buy. So you can make money when you buy real estate. And what I mean by that is really, it's like when you buy anything secondhand or used, you can get it for a really good deal. You can buy it at a discount. So if you put a lot of effort in at the negotiation table, you can buy a really good house for a really good deal, or you can get it for cheaper than maybe someone else can get it. So really just think of it as, well, when I'm buying it, how can I lock in a little bit more equity or a little bit more value at the negotiation table and make it so that if I were to even just sell this right now, I could make money. The rest of the Bur Strategy implies a buy and hold, but you don't have to. But that's an opportunity right there. It's just to make money on the purchase price. Now, for the first R in Bur, that's rehab. And so this is where fix and flippers come into the equation, where they might buy a house, rehab it, and then immediately turn around and sell it. Now, because what they've done is they've added value in the rehab, there's a certain amount of appreciation in the value of the house, and they get to cash in on that as soon as they turn around and sell it. Now, it's easy just to think about rehab in terms of fixing and flipping, but you can also think about this, this stage as really just any kind of value add, anything that you can do to improve the value of that property. And think outside of rehab and renovation. I mean, if the house was owned by a hoarder and you just buy it and empty out all of the junk that they had and turn around and sell it, that is also value add because you're doing a job that someone else didn't want to do. Another way of looking at it would be, let's say you could buy a house and rezone it for a duplex or a multifamily apartment building or something like that. That is now value added because you've gone through the hassle and the risk of going through the rezoning process and making sure that the city approves that. So someone else might pay you for that value that you delivered because they didn't want to go through all that hassle. And so that's another way of looking at value add. So yeah, that second R stands for rehab, and you can really just look at that as value add, and there's so many different ways that you can add value to a property. So the second R in Bur stands for rent. And what that means is really just generating revenue from this property. And I want to encourage revenue over just rent, because the idea is that you would be having regular reoccurring income on a month-to-month or year-by-year basis from this asset. And so with that, you can have two things happening. At a very basic level, you have equity pay down. So you have someone else putting equity into your property. Now, if your revenue outweigh your expenses, then you have cash flow. So you could also have cash landing in your pocket every single month from the revenue that your property is getting, which you'd be missing out on if you just did a fix and flip. You're missing out on all that long-term cash flow. So yeah, that second R stands for rent, but I would mostly categorize that as revenue, especially when you start considering that maybe you might do a short-term rental like Airbnb or VRBO, and that would be not typically considered rent in a lot of people's eyes, but it is still considered revenue. And that's a business opportunity, and that's income opportunity that you don't want to forget about. So the third R for Bur stands for refinance. So what does that mean? So if you've done a good job at creating equity in the buy phase, and you've done a good job at creating equity in the rehab phase, what that allows you to do is in the refinance phase is to go to the bank, refinance your house, and pull some of that equity out as cash. Now that you've been able to pull this equity out as cash, you have less invested in the property and you have more to invest in other properties. We're going to do another video on how refinancing works so that we can go a little bit more in depth, but basically the refinance phase is really helpful for you to get to the next R. And that's the very last R in the Bur equation, which is repeat. And the reason we emphasize about repeating is because if it's a business, any business needs to be repeatable and scalable over time. Now, the first couple houses that you buy are going to be very difficult, and they're going to take you a lot of time to get to that repeat process. But as you continue going faster, you're going to build momentum as you continue going, and you're going to get faster and faster over time. And the key takeaway with Bur is that it ends on repeat, meaning, you rinse and repeat. You cycle it over and over and over again, and as you do that, you accumulate wealth over time. So why do I like talking about the Bur strategy? Well, if you think about it, the Bur strategy covers a lot of different ways that people can make money in real estate. So whether you're a wholesaler, if you're a wholesaler, you're just buying a house to sell it to somebody else without any value add. So that's the B part of Bur. If you are a fix and flipper, that's the B and R, but they're still missing out on all of the subsequent R's in Bur. So what the Bur strategy allows you to do is for any given deal, just work your way through the BRRRR acronym and ask yourself, where is there additional wealth generation in this property that I haven't thought about yet? Is there anything I can do to, add value? Is there any additional revenue that can be squeezed out of this? Have I considered any interesting financing opportunities that might allow me to squeeze more equity out so that I can use that for additional deals, and so on and so forth? The key point here is that there is no strategy, but that there are a number of different strategies. And it's helpful to look at these as different tools in your tool belt. Different tools have different strengths for different goals. And so really just depending on what your goals are will help you decide which tool will allow you to get there the quickest or will allow you to get there at all. One final thought I have on Bur is that you can almost look at Bur as a checklist for the amount of options any given deal has for you. So for example, if you can make money on the buy and the rehab, but maybe this isn't a property that you'd be interested in renting, okay, well maybe that's a 2 out of 5 rating for a property. But if this property easily has rental revenue and opportunity for refinancing, and there's lots of value add, you might be, and this is going to quickly be able to turn around and get you into your next property after that. Well, maybe that's a 5 out of 5 property, and you can look at that as having a lot more weight than a property where you only have opportunities, to make money on 2 out of 5 categories. If you've got 5 out of 5 opportunities, that is a much stronger investment and has a lot more flexibility for you if and when things go wrong. So that's it for today's video. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you really like this video, please consider subscribing. And lastly, if you know of anybody who might benefit from this video, please consider sharing it with them so that we can all learn together. Thanks for watching.